In one of the most closely watched criminal cases of the decade, Bryan Kohberger has pled guilty to the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. But before we talk about the plea, we need to look at something many of you have been waiting for: the evidence. After nearly 2 years of silence and sealed files, 2024 and 2025 brought a wave of disclosures. Crime scene photos, 911 audio, forensic documents, and a disturbing picture began to take shape. In this full breakdown, we'll begin with the newly released evidence, then dive into the timeline, the motive, the plea deal, and what comes next. You're watching Bryan Kohberger Pleads Guilty. What now? Let's begin. What evidence was released? In 2024, the court began unsealing materials previously hidden under a strict gag order. Here's what the public finally saw. Forensic evidence: a leather K-bar knife sheath found next to victim Madison Mogen. Lab-confirmed male DNA on the snap button traced to Kohberger via genealogy. Hair strands and a shoe print found at the scene matched Kohberger's profile. Digital evidence: Kohberger's cell phone pings placed him near the victim's house on at least 12 occasions prior to the murders. Surveillance showed his white Hyundai Elantra circling the home repeatedly at 3:34 a.m. 911. Call released in early 2025. The 911 call placed around noon on November 13, 2022, revealed panic and confusion. The roommate had discovered someone unconscious. The chilling tone added weight to surviving witness testimony. Crime scene photos: graphic but crucial photos of blood stains, entry points, and a partially opened sliding glass door confirmed the theory of silent entry. Images showed drag marks, suggesting victims were moved post-mortem, possibly in a panic. These files, locked away during the pre-trial phase, changed public perception overnight. Combined with Kohberger's guilty plea in June 2025, the evidence painted a clear and terrifying picture of premeditation. Timeline of the case. Now that we've seen the evidence, let's revisit the timeline, from the night of the crime to the moment Kohberger pled guilty. Key events: November 13, 2022. 4 students murdered between 4:30 a.m. December 30th, 2022. Kohberger arrested in Pennsylvania. Police tracked him using DNA, license plate readers, and surveillance. January-June 2023. Prosecutors file for the death penalty. Kohberger waives his right to a speedy trial. Mid-2024. As motions pile up, court releases partial discovery under pressure, including search warrants and partial transcripts. February 2025. Audio of the 911 call and multiple still images from surveillance footage are released to the press. May 2025. Kohberger's defense team signals willingness to discuss a plea. June 30th, 2025. Kohberger pleads guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder. For a case that once seemed destined for years of appeals, this guilty plea, and the evidence made public, offered a sudden and dramatic turn. Why did he plead guilty? Bryan Kohberger's decision to plead guilty shocked some, but legally it made sense. Here's why. The evidence was overwhelming. With DNA, phone records, vehicle surveillance, and witness testimony, his defense had few options. The death penalty was looming. Idaho prosecutors were ready to pursue it. The plea deal removed that threat in exchange for life without parole. No appeal, no delay. As part of the deal, Kohberger waived his right to appeal, streamlining the end of the case and granting closure to families. Public pressure. As more documents leaked, the defense likely recognized that any jury would be highly influenced by public opinion and hard facts. Autism spectrum disorder defense denied what he tried. In early 2025, Kohberger's legal team attempted to avoid the death penalty by arguing that he had a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, ASD, a mitigating factor they claimed reduced his culpability. Why it was rejected. Idaho law allows mental or developmental disorders as mitigating evidence only if they significantly impair judgment or understanding of right and wrong. The judge ruled that while ASD may affect communication or behavior, it did not meet the legal threshold to eliminate the death penalty as a sentencing option. Prosecutors countered that the murders showed deliberate planning, methodical execution, and efforts to avoid detection, all signs of premeditation and awareness. Autism alone does not excuse someone from the consequences of calculated criminal conduct, the judge stated during the ruling. 2. 4 other people did it. Defense dismissed what he tried. Just days before entering the guilty plea, Kohberger's defense submitted a new claim suggesting that 4 unidentified individuals may have been responsible for the murders, casting doubt on the prosecution's timeline and evidence. Why it was dismissed. The court ruled this argument as unsubstantiated and too late, pointing out that no forensic or eyewitness evidence supported this alternate theory. It was seen as a last-minute attempt to create reasonable doubt in the media rather than in a court of law. The motion was denied outright by the judge without a hearing, citing lack of supporting evidence. Contextual note: this defense argument may have been an effort to influence public perception or press for a reduced sentence, but it was not taken seriously in the courtroom. In the end, the plea saved the families, and possibly Kohberger himself, from a long, painful trial. Main details of the case. Now, with the plea entered and evidence revealed, here's what we know about what happened on the night of November 13, 2022. The victims, Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen, found in bed on the 3rd floor. Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, found on the 2nd floor with signs of struggle. Crime scene entry was likely through a sliding glass door left unlocked. The killer moved room to room, attacking silently. A roommate saw a masked man in black clothing leaving. This witness was key. Aftermath. Kohberger allegedly turned off his phone during the murders to avoid detection. His car was seen returning to the scene around 9 a.m., which prosecutors say could have been an attempt to retrieve the knife sheath. These weren't random attacks. Prosecutors believe Kohberger studied the victim's habits, layout of the home, and executed the crime with chilling precision. Family reactions and public response. The plea deal was met with mixed reactions. Some families, exhausted from delays, welcomed the closure. Others, like the Goncalves family, were outraged. We wanted a trial. We wanted answers. We wanted to face him. Online, social media exploded. Many people praised the state for avoiding a costly trial, while others questioned whether a full public reckoning had been denied. Legal experts argue the plea may have been the most efficient path to justice, but it didn't offer everything transparency advocates hoped for. One thing is clear. Even with a confession, the public wants to see everything, from body cam footage to interrogation tapes. What happens next? Bryan Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in prison. He'll serve 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, likely in solitary or a high-security unit. There will be no appeal, no retrial, no parole hearings. What remains? The full case file may eventually be made public. True crime investigators, journalists, and families will likely continue pushing for transparency. And the victims, 4 young lives lost, will remain in the hearts of their families and the community. Closure doesn't come from a sentence. It comes from truth. And in this case, some of that truth is finally coming to light. Now, your voice matters. Subscribe for more AI-powered case breakdowns and legal deep dives. Comment below. Do you think justice was served? Or did we lose something without a trial? Like and share to spread awareness about evidence release, court decisions, and victims' families. Stay informed. Follow verified sources. Transparency in serious cases matters. Of course, this isn't our final word. As more documents become public, the story may shift further. Until then, let's speak truth, not rumor. Thank you for joining this deep dive on AI Daily Impact, where we give you all things AI.